Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, my name is Ronald Gustav, and welcome to my brand new podcast. Um, it's been a long-awaited journey, but we finally have one. Um, it took a lot to set this up, and it took a lot of support from the people that I know. Um, I've actually recorded a few episodes of this, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty cringy, and I don't ever want to put it out there ever. I'm hoping this. I think I did put one episode out, but I'm taking it off because it's really bad. It's really cringy. It's really boring, and like I was out there even putting myself to sleep. But here we are now. New episode. We'll call this one the first episode. And the first episode is going to be like orientation, when you went to school for the first day and you knew like you're not going to do anything that day. You don't do crap on the first day of school. You just go there, and they go over the syllabus and tell you how they're going to mess up your life for the rest of the school year. And that's about it. So that's what we're doing today. And I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. It's going to be rough. It's going to be something new, something different, but we're doing it. Let me reposition myself here. So I will just go into detail about everything that will be covered here on this podcast, and along with the name and how I came about it, and even how my passion, I wouldn't say passion, or the want to start a podcast began. So the podcast, after several hours of thinking, after several hours of research, trying to find an original name, because there are a crap ton of podcasts out there, and I only listened to a couple. So I didn't know that there's a name for almost anything that I could think of. Right? So the podcast, I finally came up with a name after about maybe 3 hours of just sitting there just thinking. And I finally came up with GraveYard Ballet. You know what I mean? So GraveYard Ballet is like it's a translation. When you translate it, it comes out to night talk, because I do work at night, so a lot of the episodes will be recorded at night and then posted throughout the day. So it's an adventure. It's gonna be an adventure, and I hope this is not something that I'm just picking up for a little bit, because I do have the tendency of doing that. For instance, I got a piano sitting back there. I touched it maybe a couple times. I practiced maybe 2 days straight, and then I just stopped. So, but I do plan to get back onto it. But I hope this podcast isn't like that, and I hope this podcast eventually ventures out into more than just me sitting in front of a camera talking. Maybe soon enough venture out into YouTube and other stuff like that. But that's the plan. The plan is to grow on YouTube and other platforms and get my name out there and get myself out there. I'm not going to be talking about anything too different from other podcasts, but I will have a different, point of view or opinions about certain things. So to cover a little bit of what we're going to be going over is mainly sports, celebrities, recent news, any hot topic question that is out there. I want to cover, and I want to get either feedback from my friends or even from those of you watching. I think it's important to get everyone engaged. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask in the comment section, or even on my social media. I will have those handles down there for you guys to reach out to me and ask any questions or give any inputs, because I don't want to just sit here and talk and nobody listens, or everyone sees what I could work on and not say anything about it, you know? So I want to cover different topics. I don't want to confine myself into a small space and into one topic or one issue that goes on. You know, like I love sports, I love basketball, so it would, I don't want to start another basketball podcast. There's plenty of those out there. I don't want to start a political podcast because there's plenty of those out there. So I kind of want mine to be free forming, you know. I wanted to touch base on everything that goes on, you know, around in the world. Just a second here. Let me adjust my camera. Ooh, now we're looking good. So, GraveYard Parlay is something that I wanted to start a long time ago. I want to say I introduced the idea almost a year ago, and I always made excuses as to why I can't start or why I can't do it. Or even when I got certain equipment, I was like, oh, you know, I need to learn this, I need to do that, and I just kept putting it off. And I think part of it is because I was always afraid of what people were gonna think about how I think about things, or my opinions on different subjects and anything that I talked about. So as much as I wanted to start it for my friends, you know, because they were the ones really pushing and encouraging me to do it, it's everyone else, you know, what will everyone else think about what I have to say? Will people even care about what I have to say? I think essentially once I got past that, starting was kind of like the biggest thing that I could have done, you know. Just learning about camera and learning about lighting and then learning about editing. I'm still learning about editing because that thing is hard, man. To those people that edit for people, you got a special talent, because I don't even know how to do the basics. But GraveYard Parlay, like I said, it translates to night talk. So the parlay part is Creole. It's because, you know, I'm Haitian, so I wanted to just kind of integrate something from my culture into there. And even if it's just a word in the name, and we can even talk about my culture and then what's true and what's not, because a lot of people have a negative view of about what's going on out there in my culture. So it's definitely, I can definitely learn some things and teach some things as well. So enough talking, enough of the introduction. I kind of wanted to talk about a couple of things on the first episode. The podcast won't always be really short. It will always be really long. It can vary. And I'm someone that does not like commitment. I wouldn't say I don't like commitment. That I can't lie about that. It's hard for me to commit into anything that I have to like be very on top of. So when I say that, like recording and editing, like I have to be on top of that constantly for me to be successful in this. So I know that's something that I have to change and I have to work on. But I will say I can't commit right now to doing this once or twice a week. You know, maybe I could, because when I do work overnights, you know, you tend to have a little more time during the day, or even on your off days, you know, you have a lot of that time to record when you're not at work. So I wanted to start this podcast because, you know, like I said, a lot of my friends were just like, dude, you know, you're funny. I was like, thanks. And they're like, you should definitely, you know, get your voice out there, share your opinions, share your funny thoughts and opinions about things, and your serious thoughts and opinions about things. So I was like, you know what? Enough people have asked for it, so I might as well just, you know, see if it's a talent of mine that I don't know that I have. You know, it's still a little scary to start a podcast and sit in front of the camera with lights, and my room looks like a mini film studio right now because of every light that I have here, wires running everywhere. So it's definitely something to adjust to, but I do like this though. I do like the feeling of it. But I wanted to talk about sports for 1 second. Like that's one thing I wanted to get into. So I'm a Miami Heat fan, and right now the NBA Finals are on, and it's between Boston and the Golden State Warriors. I am personally rooting for the Golden State Warriors simply because Boston beat my team to get to the finals, and I cannot root for a team that beat my team. So I want the Warriors to, how would I say, blow the dog water out of the Boston Celtics. I want Golden State to make Boston Celtics think like or believe that they never should have started a basketball franchise. That's how, because as a Heat fan and watching those games and seeing like how much we were hurt, and seeing how much Jimmy was working just to get us up by like 4 or 5 points. It was tough. It was tough. But I like right now, if you're someone from Boston and I know you, and you like Boston Celtics, I hope y'all lose, and I hope you bet your whole mortgage in your house and you lose. Reason being, like, people from Boston, one, are already annoying as hell anyways. So I want to see y'all eat pie. Like it's so annoying. Have any of y'all ever encountered anyone from up north? They're so annoying. There's nothing better than a chopped cheese. There's nothing better than New York transit. It's like New York, Boston, Philly, all those states, and all those states annoy me. Like y'all gotta. It's like, and the issue with I have with people up north is everyone has the same personality. You run across one person from New York, I guarantee you, everyone else you run across from New York will have the same personality. There is no difference between them. So I would honestly say, like, it's not that I hate people from New York. Some of my closest friends are from New York. But New Yorkers, y'all gotta understand, you're not the only state in the world. Like I just can't. I could sit here all day and just talk about how much I don't like somebody from New York. Like, for instance, the other day, I wouldn't say the other day, I used to work at a grocery store, and we used to get a lot of like people from out of state or out from outside of the country coming in and shopping, and they were like, "Oh, this is the water." I'm not even gonna make a New York accent. They were like, "Oh, this is the water y'all got. This water, water is better in New York." Like, bro, then go back to New York. I don't. If the water's better, if the food is better, if the work is better, go back to New York. No one asked you to come to Florida and complain about Florida water, and complain about Florida food, and complain about Florida people. I think Florida gets a lot of crap. We get Florida man this, Florida man that. New York though come on, like, New York is different, bro. Like, New York, you got bums driving trains. You got bums like controlling rats. Like, y'all have y'all seen the homeless people there? Like, they control the rats. And New York is different. I'm gonna get off the topic of New York because I want to go back to Boston. Everyone from Boston smells like hot dog water and boiled pennies. Like, you guys smell, and you always think like your team is better than everyone else. You think your city, your state is better than everyone else. Like, get a life. Boston is not that great. It's slush everywhere. It's weird smelling people everywhere. Like, y'all need to get y'all stuff together. Y'all not the best. You know, so I want the Golden State Warriors to just sweep the floor with these guys, you know, and so then I can cheer, also be sad that it wasn't my team that was there, but I can definitely cheer that Boston went down, you know. So wow, this was my first segment on my podcast was ranting about how much I don't like people from the North. You know, that is memorable. Like, I better get a hell of views for this, because I think everyone agrees. If you're from any of the southern states, or even like the western states, like even Midwest, Eastern, a lot of us really don't like the people from up north. But I digress. I think I've spoken enough trash about them. But the second thing that I want to talk about is college. It's probably one of the biggest scams in modern day, and it's always been. And yet here I am. I got class. I wouldn't say I got class. I got schoolwork to do right now. But I want to say it's the biggest scam because it costs so much money for you to get into classes, and if you fail those classes, you have to repay for them. I get it. People got to be paid. Professors got to be paid. The staff has to be paid. But at the end of the day, you can't be denying people money. And this is all personal experience. For past 2 years, I have been denied financial aid for no reason. Like, they have no reason to deny me of financial aid. And it got to the point where it's so frustrating that I just stopped applying for it, because at a certain point it was just like, I know when I apply for it, you're just going to tell me something's wrong, or something's not adding up, or I just can't get it. So I have to take out loans. Why do I have to take out loans? I know people who make way more than me, getting like 4-5 bands a semester off of financial aid, and you got me out here trying to take out $10 loan or $10,000 loans for one semester. No, thank you. I don't want to say the particular name of the college that I'm talking about, but I can definitely say they got a mouthful from me in a student email, and it took a lot to not curse, because I knew that email was being monitored. But you can't deny people financial aid when especially when they are there, they live off of themselves. Like, they make their own money, they pay their own bills, they have to pay for class, they have to pay everything else. And when they apply for financial aid, they have proof of all that, but yet you're still saying no to them not having, or no to them getting funds. And that's, I believe that's why a lot of younger kids like me tend to drop out of college, because at a certain point when you're paying $1,400, $1,500, $1,600, or $1,600 a semester, and none of that is being reimbursed, or you can't like get some kind of financial aid to help decrease that cost. And with the way rent is going right now, with the way gas is going right now, it's hard to afford anything. So why not help out the students? And I think that's where a lot of us are frustrated, and we just say, you know what, freak it, let me go work full time at this job and then spend the rest of my life there, and rank up and throughout the job, and hopefully one day get paid close to what I'd be getting paid, if I was to go through college. So I think if I don't want to call for any universal college thing, and because when you start with universal college, people will start wanting universal living and universal food. Like you don't want that, but I do think the cost of college or classes should decrease, because these schools are making so much money off you, and like I said, they will deny you money simply because they want more money, because it makes no sense that you can't approve me of a certain amount of dollars when you know yourself, like, I am in a position more, I need this more than the next person, but you're gonna give it to somebody else that doesn't need it. I've seen people buying laptops off financial aid. I've seen people buy Jordans off financial aid, and I'm out here trying to buy a textbook and I can't get nothing. Really? You see, they're trying to keep a brother down. I gotta keep my third eye open. They try to keep a brother down. It's alright though. As angry as I am, I do know it's a system, and a lot of times it's just set for you to fail. But I will persist to go to college though, because I'm first generation everything. First generation college attendant, first generation high school graduate, and it would be great to be first generation engineering major in my family, and essentially just get us off the ground. Not that we're crazy poor or anything, but when you have such a burden, you want to succeed. So I'm not gonna let that stop me, but it did kind of deter me away from wanting to go to school, because like I said, with how everything is today, there's no way, like, you can't help students pay for classes, and especially if the student has proof that they financially need help, and what do you offer? You offer them more debt. Hey, take out this loan, you're approved for this amount of loan, and you don't have to pay it back until you graduate. Okay, cool. Now when I get out of school, I got more bills to pay, so it doesn't make sense. But like I said, if it were up to me, if someone has reason and they can prove it, and here's the biggest scam of it all, it's the financial aid application itself. It does not really cater to the individual, right? It's made for the majority, so it's very basic. You can't, like, let's say for instance, I relied on myself for all my bills and responsibilities. But if you're under the age of 23, you can't file it independently using only your taxes. You have to use a parent's taxes. And if, God forbid, your parent makes, a decent chunk of money, now you can't get approved for it, because your parents make decent money, even though they do not provide for you. You are being penalized. Well, my recording has stopped again, but this is the end of the Graveyard Parlay, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I know this first episode seems a little crazy, or it seems a little stale, but I guarantee you over time things will get better, and as I learn, as I get a little more comfortable with sitting in front of the camera and speaking, and get some of my friends in here and get some random people in here, this should be fun. I'm excited with the direction that this could go into, and I hope everyone tunes back in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Graveyard Parlay. This is your host, Ronda Sinkastav, and y'all have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.